What's up YouTube, Redbeard's Garage, and welcome back to another video. Today we're getting back on the 670 and going to finish that engine section. Alright, so I cut this piece at 23 1/4 to connect the back ears of that motor area. So now I can tack this on to the go-kart, make sure everything's good, and then fully weld it. And then I'm going to put that back bar back on, but I'm going to wait until we got the engine plate mounted so it's out of the way. And then once we find out the engine has enough room, then we can weld on that little hoop area on the back and start finishing up this thing, because I'm getting excited to ride it. We've been working on this thing for about 4 hours. 5 hours. So we got the whole engine area, a bunch of stuff's just tacked on. The axle hangers are just tacked on, but I made some ears for those axle hangers. When I flip I'm going to take the engine cage off here in a little bit, flip it upside down and weld all the underside. But this thing's going to be strong, that's for sure. I'm going to put some 3-hole gussets from Go Power Sports in this corner and that corner just to stiffen up. It's not the thinnest metal in the world, but it's not the thickest. We've definitely made it a lot stronger. So now we got to set the 670 on there to make sure that the torque converter ain't going to hit. The torque converter hangs off the back of these engines, even on a 212 or something, hangs off quite a bit. So the only problem we're worried about is if it's going to hit this back bar. If that's the case, then we're going to have to cut this engine mount off, the engine plate, and we're going to have to make a riser. We're going to have to make it rise up probably 3 to 4 inches, whatever needs to be done. It looks like it hangs down almost 2 inches probably. So we'll probably do a 3-inch riser just to be safe.
Just a bit. And it's already heavy.
Back first. Yep. And at the first, okay, we can go back a lot. Pick it up. That's about the furthest back.
Right there.
What we could do is actually slide and cut the tacks off an engine plate. I can slide it up, another 1/2 inch, and I can cut another 1/2 inch off the front of that engine plate, to get the engine plate even further forward.
Yeah.
So basically I could just modify the engine plate to slide it forward a little bit because, let me see the camera. So if you can see how much clearance, that's just like
nothing. Yeah,
1/4 inch worth of clearance. So what I'm thinking is, so you see how I have probably a 1/2 inch between this engine plate and this. I could cut another 1/2 inch off of the engine plates.
Really cut a whole inch off.
Well, I would get an inch just by cutting a 1/2 inch or I'd get a full inch if I cut a 1/2 inch off the engine plate, and that would allow the engine to slide up a full inch. Or I could do a whole nother inch. It isn't like, we just need to make sure This is going to be on when we first ride it, but I'm going to move that to the front. Maybe I might as well go ahead and move it, and I can just run a choke line in between the seats somewhere. We still haven't cleaned the leaves off this thing. How could you let me film this like this?
I'm sorry.
So we'll do a little playing with it. If we can get another inch to an inch and a half, that torque converter moved up, that would be perfect, because you only need about an inch of chain tension, you know. So we'll cut an inch off this engine plate, cut the tacks off first, and see what that gets us. Okay, so I cut an inch off that engine plate, and we're about to try it out. Can you get that other side in? The one closest to me.
There, that's all.
So now we have, ooh, that was a little scary there for a minute. I tightened the nut up too much. That's plenty of room now. So yeah, and this suspension shouldn't flex, I mean, much. I mean, it's only going to have about that much movement of suspension, I would think. So everything should clear on the flex factor. Yeah, this will work. And the motor will be actually back further. You know, and this will be moved eventually. The electric start will be moved to the front. But yeah, that's what she'll look like on there. So now I just got to weld everything fully. And I'm going to have to pull that engine cage off of the go-kart, flip it upside down to weld everything on the back side. And weld those hangers. The hangers are only tacked on, as well as the bars under this engine. They're only 4 tacks on them. So yeah, been a pretty productive 8 hours. Wasn't bad. So it's Monday and we're back on this Yerfdog 670 transplant. Now you can see the axles all bolted up in place and torqued down. Everything spins real free and nicely. So what I'm going to do is put this center bearing in like we talked about earlier. This is just going to help the axle from warping if we're pretty rough on this thing, and with the huge amount of power it's going to have, this is going to help out, you know, and save this nice Go Power Sports axle. What I've done is got this really thick piece of flat stock, and if we set it kind of flat right there in between these two pieces of square tubing, it's the perfect height for this bearing flange. So what I'm going to do is clean this up, tack it to these bars right here, and then tack it to the hanger in about 6 places to make sure the heat, when you weld metal, it wants to draw the heat in towards the piece of metal in towards the heat. So if you're welding on this side, it's going to want to draw it on this side. So you want to tack it up in a few separate places just to make sure you're not going to get any draw like that, and then your bearing flange will be kind of cockeyed. Okay, so I made this little brake bracket. That's what I was cutting in the vise just a minute ago. I need to weld that spot right there. The other sides are fully welded. That's some pretty thick flat stock, and then the caliper just bolts up right there on those 2 holes. It's a little bit of a pain bolting it up and taking it off, but you shouldn't be doing that very often. And now, once that cools down, I'm going to go ahead and weld that little spot because I actually forgot about it. Once that cools down, we can bolt this all back up on the go-kart, and I'm going to go ahead and put some new shocks on it. I don't know how old those shocks are and if they've got a lot of life left in them. So I have a new set of red ones I'm going to slap on them. Just going with the original ones for now, and then we're going to upgrade to the 300cc shocks. So I'll get this caliper bolted on. We're just hoping that caliper and master cylinder right there is still good. I do have some brake fluid. We'll fill it up, bleed it all out quite a bit. I'm going to flush the whole system out a lot, and then get it all bolted up and see what this thing's like. So I was test fitting the engine on the back of the engine cage and noticed a little problem that I was worried about. The engine is actually touching the brake disc. That's why I was talking about doing an engine riser. So that's why I drilled those 2 pieces of square tubing out, and they have the bolt holes already drilled in them. So that'll lift the engine 1 inch and clear everything just fine, and that'll give me a little bit more room. I mean, the engine slid all the way back right now, that's why that's touching. That engine isn't sitting perfectly flat yet because it is kind of cockeyed sitting on that brake, but it looks like it's going to work out. Once our weight's in it, it'll be more level. It's kind of up and then the frame goes downhill. That's the way you want these style go-karts, because when you do sit on them, they're going to squat down. So once me and Lonnie's sitting in it, it should be more level. I think it looks awesome. I am going to weld that back bar on. I'm thinking about actually making one that bolts up, so when I want to pull the engine, it'll be a lot easier. So we'll leave it like that for now and worry about that later. So you can see I got those bolts in those risers. I am going to put a piece in between right here on front and back when I final paint this. What we're going to do is ride this a little bit and then we'll strip it all down and paint it. Yeah, I don't like it. It's ugly. Let's take it off. Okay, so this looked pretty dumb, but I do like the little arm, shoulder protectors, and this has the mounts for some belts. I had some of them Takata, I don't know how you pronounce them. I have one of those racing seat belts, and I have ordered another one for this seat. So I would kind of like to leave this section. So I'm just going to cut this hoop off here, which I actually already have it cut off. But I think it'll look a lot better leaving this on and taking this off, because this will give me a spot to mount a gas tank and a few other things instead of just having one kind of hanging off the frame. So let me see if I got it cut enough. So there we go. Got that old hoop off. Still doesn't look awesome like that, but I think we can add to it later and make it look pretty good. So there's a back shot. Like I said, it looked better without it. This is going to give us a little bit more protection, even though, we're still going to get hurt if we flip it. Guys, I'm getting pretty pumped for this thing to get done, that's for sure. Lonnie went to Florida on me, so he don't even get to see the finished product. Poor old Lonnie. This thing's going to be awesome. We're going to do some performance parts to it in later videos, so make sure to stay tuned for that if you're wanting to. If you have a 670 and you're wanting to see how to push a little bit more power out of it, we're going to definitely be doing that with exhaust, some different carburetors, some good stuff in the future. Next video, we got to sort out the wiring, get the battery box installed, and a few other little odds and ends so we can ride this thing finally. I'm getting pretty excited. I know they're governed pretty heavily, so it's probably not going to be fun off the bat, and then we're going to show you how to, you know, mess with the governor without completely removing it. Guys, make sure to go Power Sports and use that discount code REDBEARD to save 10% on all your go-kart needs. They supplied everything for this build. They was a huge help. They always are, of course. All the links are in the description below to everything we used. From engine plate to torque converter, from the axle hangers, everything's down there. Also, the links to our social media is in the description below. That's Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. So go give us a like and follow there. You'll see pictures of the builds before they come out on YouTube, so you can stay a little bit more up to date and ask us questions there. Guys, we do have a P.O. Box now. That's Red Beard's Garage, P.O. Box 572, Sweetwater, Tennessee, 37874. Some people wanted to send us some stuff, so we opened it up for them. We aren't asking you to send something, but if you feel the need, please do. The address is in the description below, as well as all these links for our social media, all the parts, and that discount code for Go Power Sports. Yeah, let me know what you think of this hoss. It's going to be a beast of a go-kart. I know this thing's going to climb mountains. But guys, always come back to Red Beard's Garage. I'm out.